Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it's time once more for our weekly painting progress that just so happens to fall on Labor Day. And actually, I'm filming this on Labor Day because it's already after midnight. I have been trying to laboriously try to get some painting done, and I had no time this week. And I mean, I feel like I say this every week, but between, multiple kids' activities and back to school nights and friends visiting and, getting ready for all that and quinceañeras and just tons of stuff going on. But I did manage to paint a couple things. Oh, and we've had crazy weather, as always seems to be the case in California. It's been raining the last few days. That's been fun. That's been different. And speaking of different, I seem to have gone off the deep end and finally just gone whole hog painting tiny little dudes. So KMFP Designs has been putting out all sorts of tiny little guys that could be used for whatever game system you prefer, but while they have the boring orbital knights, old school orbital knights as they like to call them, they also have some more interesting stuff, which is really what I wanted to do. And I feel like I'm mumbling to myself. So I started putting together a couple stands of basic infantry, which was kind of fun. And if you can't tell, they're going to end up being world eaters. No, my God, did I say that? Emperor's Children. I was going to use them as Emperor's Children. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's so late. It's like almost 1 o'clock. Which is unusual on a Sunday night, because obviously with Labor Day we have the day off, and I don't have to worry about going into work tomorrow, because it is a holiday. And to lead them, we've got a very hastily painted Phoenix Guard Terminator. Or at least just a Terminator in Phoenix Guard style colors. And now that I've been printing and painting a bunch of these little dudes, I keep thinking to myself that for standalone heroes, because I don't remember the actual rules for Epic or whatever 6 to 8 millimeter tabletop war games you guys are familiar with. I feel like the base works. I mean, they're just on pennies, but I feel like I want to pump him up to maybe like 10 or 12 millimeters just so he has a little bit more oomph, and these guys are actually quite detailed. Now, this is going to get a bit anachronistic, and if you're a big stickler for time scales and periods and eras of the Imperium, this is going to probably irritate you guys. But so I just kept going with the Emperor's Children colors, and I found a librarian file. And I mean, keep in mind, this is super duper zoomed in. I was kind of happy with the paint job I did. I might do something on the little book on his pull there, but that wasn't enough for me. And then I found a angry, aggressive Marines. Now, yeah, those did not exist during the Heresy era, but I don't care. I'm just gonna paint some, and I don't know. I can't make up my mind what I want to do with these guys. I've got a bunch already printed, actually, but I can't decide if they should be multi-based, and should I try to jam 5 on one of these? Because I feel like it's going to be a little bit too much. But then I found there were Centurion files as well. Yeah, I've got Emperor's Children Centurions. Why not, right? And again, I can't make up my mind. These guys at least are designed. They've got the little plugs for the typical Epic style bases. The Centurions don't. I figure, why not bump them a little bit larger, just because. But I still wasn't satisfied, and this is just like the initial offerings. Like I said, I went way down. I've always wanted to do Epic stuff. I loved Epic when I was a kid. Couldn't afford most of it. I had the box that came with like 1 or 2 Titans and a ton of infantry, and I feel like I got a ton of the plastic stuff. And I remember playing like games, just setting them all up with the rhinos and things. But to me, the appeal of Epic was always all the crazy exotic war machines. So I'm going to get around to painting some of those. I've been printing them. But my Emperor's Children are going to have to fight somebody. So KMFP Designs also has a bunch of Martian cyborg stuff. I don't know what this guy's supposed to be. It's not the best job painting. It's not the biggest model either. But got a command stand of Martian cyborgs put together. I know, not the best paint job. But considering how zoomed in it is, I think it does the job adequately. And then I started... we needed some shock troops to go with our Martian leaders. And I still wasn't satisfied. We needed some other guys. So we got some shiny knights. Teleporting shiny knights. And unfortunately the lighting at the moment, they are quite silvery, but I think because of the rubbly bases and the lighting and the zoom, they're not as shiny as they should be. And nobody's on matching bases. Not a single group here. But that's okay. Because then we kicked it up a notch and we decided to print and paint one of the baby carriage dreadnoughts. Just because we could. And now I realize I'm really going to need a Titan or two. And at that point, I'm going to turn to you, dear viewers, and hopefully you guys can point me in the right direction. I'd like a nice looking one. Doesn't necessarily have to look like the stuff that actually existed in Epic, but I would like to have some sort of actual nice Titans and Knights. Alright, that's enough of that crazy stuff. Let's see other crazy stuff. So this was an Oni girl from RNS Studio, and she's really glossy still right now, and I don't know what's going on, why there's like this little baby hanging off her shoulders and grabbing her breasts. I don't know. I have no idea. And she's got like this weird armor thing around her mouth there. Yeah, the gloss and the lighting this late at night is not exactly helping things, but I'm really unsure what the purpose was. This was a neat random set. This is before RNS Studio seemed to just go all in on the pop culture homages. So it was kind of nice to see them do something different, but I feel like they didn't get the recognition that they wanted to with it, so they're just going to keep rolling with all the pop culture stuff. Here is a random archvillain games from a while back. I think this was like one of their hero ones. And you know what? Archvillain makes some of the most detailed stuff, but sometimes it's a little too much. I mean, I guess that's like an honest, valid criticism, I feel. They have some really cool designs, but every now and then they get a little too over-designed, I feel like. This guy wasn't as bad as some of the others. But yeah, sometimes they're just a real pain to paint. And some of those guys out there, I mean, some of the other people that post Discord, Patreon, social media, whatever, just some absolutely knockout gorgeous stuff. And I just get frustrated. Like, every time I try to paint some of the bigger things, I end up breaking them. It's a shame. But I keep supporting them because they make really cool stuff, and I'm sure you guys all know that. I mean, they're like one of the top Patreons at this point. But anyway, so that's enough of the original stuff. Speaking of pop cultural things, Man with Too Many Chainsaws. And boy, did his skin not turn out the way I wanted it to. This was from Papsicle's last Cyber Saga Kickstarter crowdfunding. I forget what they're called on My Mini Factory. They're not trying. I don't know. Anyway, this is from the last one. They had a bunch of pop cultural stuff there. And so they had a chainsaw dude. Banded him up real quick. Still kind of glossy. That's what I get for trying to spray stuff at, 11:30 at night. I'll have to fix that up. Hey, look at this. Something that's not printed, and I don't remember his name. This is a... I don't think he was actually a Goliath. I think he was a mercenary. Something Killfist, I believe, because that's a pretty Killfist looking meat tenderizer he's wearing on his arm there. Very simple color schemes, fits in with all of my other Goliaths, but absolutely 100% this dude is getting used in the Doomed. I am ecstatic at the fact that I've been reading over the rules, and, you know, while it's even more fun to go kit bashing everything, the fact that I've got a ton of models like this guy that are just so downright distinct in that they absolutely belong in Necromunda, obviously, where he came from, since it's a Forge World model. But they would, you know, I think be just as at home in a game like that. Now, I didn't do the best job on her, but this is Mist in her Rakian armor, I believe it was called. A somewhat recent Kingdom Death model. And I did actually paint her face under there, or at least attempt to, but you can't even see it because of the shadows. So I don't know why I bothered. I think I did okay on the colors for her ringtail. And her ringtail fur everywhere. It's, again, the lighting is not helping much. There are different layers and rings to the armor. She turned out okay. And then finally, in the most bizarre series of figures I decided to paint this week, were Pokemon. That is a Trubbish. It is literally like a bag of garbage. And I blame Erkman's Minis for this one 100%. And I actually busted the face. This is a little bit older one that he did. He's been on a roll with the Pokemons. Like, this was a recent one. When I saw he was going to do a Vaporeon, I'm stammering over Pokemon names now. I always like Vaporeon's design and the colors. So this was a nice little treat for myself. And I'm almost at the point where I could go ahead and field teams of Pokemon. But then I saw that they were doing this guy. Erkman made Lickitung. And I have this strange desire to make a, like, triple-sized one. Like, Knight or Titan-sized one. And use it in Epic. Or, even better, use it in the Doomed as a giant Lickitung as the avatar of, I don't know, greed or sloth or avarice or whatever. Decides to roll along and, you know, needs to get taken out by the powers that be. Just absolutely bizarre. But, I mean, he's been churning these things out. Pokemon, Digimon, you name it. There's just a bunch of cool stuff they've been up to. I think this literally just came out like the other day. I'm like, crap, I gotta paint that. Ooh. And then there was like, Erkman did some Metal Gear Solid. That's it. I'm trying to think of it because I have like Revolver Ocelot just like sitting here. The new ones were really nice. So shout out to Erkman's Minis because these were really impressive. So much so they also did a Raiden from Metal Gear Solid 2. And I was so impressed with the sculpt. He was like the first thing I printed this month, which admittedly isn't that far into the month. But he's already almost finished painting, and hopefully we'll see him next week. Along with the random Dragon Trappers Lodge stuff that I keep forgetting to bring down and film. It's been sitting in the way. I've got a couple of their figures, like, totally finished, literally finished. And I just keep forgetting to grab them, so I need to make a note to myself. Or have somebody harass me in the comments and remind me there to go ahead and do that. And hopefully we're going to get some more tanks and little stuff for epic-sized battles painted up, because what's the fun of having all these little tiny guys if you're not going to have a bunch of cool vehicles to fight alongside them, right? And if you want to have a bunch of cool vehicles like me, because I know I'm going to be a horrible enabler in this case, as always, we're going to have all those links to where you can find these goodies down below. So hopefully you guys can do a much better job at painting them than I do. I mean, obviously, I'm having to look at this through the lens of the camera zoomed in at like almost 4 or 5 times magnification, and I can see every tiny little imperfection. And so it's like, you know, painting this stuff, it doesn't seem that bad, but then looking at it while I'm doing this, I'm like, oh my God. But I don't care. I don't care. I'm just going to show it off anyways. And if you really want to play a game against me and sit there and pick it up and grab a magnifying glass and critique my poor brush strokes, then so be it. I will let you, and I will take it on the chin. So with that said, then, like I said, hopefully everybody's enjoying their holiday here in the States, and hopefully those of you who are not in the States are enjoying yourselves as well. This has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.